Hey you. Yeah, you. The one who's been holding it together, but barely. The one who's trying to be everything for everyone, but is quietly wondering, where do I fit in? Welcome to the LoveThySelfies podcast. This is your 10-minute pocket of truth, softness, and strength. I'm Melissa, a woman who's been through the mess, and the founder of LoveThySelfies. And this podcast, it's for us. Every weekday, I'm showing up to share the real stuff. The doubts, the breakthroughs, the things I wish someone told me sooner. Because loving yourself isn't always bubble baths and affirmations. It's crying in your car and still choosing to show up. It's unlearning the lies and deciding you're worthy anyway. It's being human and being holy in the same breath. So if you're ready to stop performing, to stop shrinking, and to finally feel seen, this podcast is your daily permission slip to slow down, to rise up, and to come home to yourself. Welcome to episode 9 of the LoveThySelfies podcast, your 10-minute pocket of peace, power, and truth to carry with you today. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your host, Melissa, a woman who's lived through some pretty messy moments, wanting to share what I've learned and how I've grown with you. Outgrowing people isn't about hatred. It's about honoring your healing even when it comes with heartbreak. There is something that happens when you start to grow. When you begin choosing your peace. When you start healing, setting boundaries, getting honest, and walking towards a life that feels aligned, some people stop walking with you. No one really tells you how much that part hurts. For a long time, I thought there was something wrong with me. I believed I was a bad friend, a broken person, someone who just couldn't keep relationships. I looked around and I saw people with best friends from childhood, perfect friend groups, or long-standing traditions, and I felt like the one who kept losing everyone. But here's what I've learned as I've healed, gotten a little more woo-woo, and taken the leap into entrepreneurship and self-love. I've realized that not everyone wants to follow you when you start walking a new path. And that's not failure, that's evolution. Think of a snake shedding its skin. It doesn't shed because it's broken. It sheds because it's growing. The skin that once fit perfectly now feels tight, restrictive, uncomfortable. That's what it feels like when you start to outgrow relationships, habits, patterns, and conversations that no longer nourish who you're becoming. Shedding doesn't make you heartless, it makes you honest. There have been so many moments where I stood at a crossroads, stay small and keep the peace, or grow forward and risk being misunderstood. I used to tone myself down so that I could fit in with people I wasn't even fully aligned with. I'd hide the books I was reading or shrink the dreams that I was dreaming and edit myself to be just palatable enough for people who weren't really seeing me anyway. And for what? So I wouldn't make anyone uncomfortable? So I could keep a seat at a table that I had already outgrown? That's not connection. That's containment. And it took me years to realize that the right people will never ask you to dim your light in order to stay. And I'll be honest, there were times I chose them over me because it was so much easier to blend in, to make a joke instead of telling the truth, to self-abandon in order to avoid the awkward silence that comes with speaking up. But that kind of life is so empty. I wanted connection, but not at the cost of myself. I wanted loyalty, but not if it meant staying invisible. There's a quote from the book called Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown that says, "You can't build connection on top of disconnection. Meaningful connection only happens when we brave the wilderness of being ourselves." That hits me so hard because for so long I was trying to fit in everywhere I went, while quietly I was disconnecting from who I actually was becoming. Here's a personal example. There was a group of women that I once felt really close to. We shared laughs, seasons of motherhood, and everyday life things. But as I started stepping into my spiritual growth, deeper healing work, and bigger dreams, I start to feel so much tension. Suddenly, I was too much for them. too intense, too focused, too woo-woo, too into mindset and manifestation and journaling and self-trust. And even though they didn't say it out loud, the energy shifted and the invite slowed. The texts got shorter, and I had to make peace with something that completely broke my heart because I still loved them so much, but I loved myself and I loved my future more. So let's talk about why this happens. There is a concept in psychology called mirroring discomfort. When your growth reflects someone else's stagnancy, it creates discomfort in them. So they pull away, not because you've done something wrong, but because being near your change challenges what they aren't ready to face in themselves. And the hardest part is you might still love them. You might still long for how it used to feel, and that's okay. The duality is real. You can feel peace in your decision and ache for what once was. You can be proud of your growth and long for the ease of old friendships. One doesn't cancel out the other. That's the complexity of healing, and it's what makes your path sacred. Just because something ends doesn't mean that it wasn't meaningful. Some relationships are chapters, not lifetimes. Here's a metaphor that's helped me make peace with it. Imagine a tree growing taller and reaching for the sunlight. Its roots deepen and its trunk expands. But as it grows, not every branch stays. Some fall off, some break, some simply can't stretch with the tree. And yet the tree keeps growing. Not in spite of the loss, but because of it. That's how healing works. You're still allowed to miss them. You're still allowed to love them from afar, but you're also allowed to keep rising. Now, when I feel the ache of outgrowing someone, I ask myself, am I losing them or am I finally choosing me? And more often than not, I realize that choosing myself is the most sacred loyalty that I've ever practiced. That's what I teach in my Quantum Leap course and what I reflect on daily in my LoveThySelfies journal. Because building a life that you love requires letting go of what no longer loves you back. It requires you to walk forward with softness and certainty, even if some people only cheer for the version of you that stayed small. So let's shift together right now. I want you to reflect on who or what are you outgrowing, and how can you release it with love instead of shame? The prompt is, if I choose loyalty to myself over comfort today, I would do ... Your mantra of the day is, I can love them and still let them go. One thing that I've learned lately is that letting go makes room for something better. Not necessarily better people, but better alignment. Relationships where you don't have to explain your bigness, where you can talk about your dreams without someone rolling their eyes, where healing, softness, and expansion are normal, not weird. I've started meeting those people, and they feel like breath, like permission, like the next right step. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself walking a winding path through a forest. Now turn around, and behind you are all the people that you've loved. Some wave, some of them cry, and some of them disappear. You place your hand on your heart and you whisper, thank you for the season. Then turn forward. The light ahead is yours. That trail belongs to you. You are not alone. You are walking home to yourself. If this episode brought you peace, share it with someone who needs to know that letting go can be done with love. Tag me, DM me, or journal through the prompt and notice what comes up. You can always find me on Instagram, TikTok at LoveThySelfies. And tomorrow, we'll keep going, softly, bravely, and wildly true to ourselves. Namaste. I want to thank you so much for coming today. If the episode spoke to your heart, please come back tomorrow. Share it with a friend. We do this every weekday. You can also find me over on Instagram at LoveThySelfies, where we keep the conversations going. Until then, be gentle with yourself. You're doing better than you think.